That's creepy. Welcome to Ranger Reviews, a web series where we look at episodes of the TV show Power Rangers and then discuss them. Today we're exploring the 5th episode of the show, Power Rangers in Space, as well as the 255th episode overall, titled Never Stop Searching. We begin this episode on the Megaship, where Carlos is working on the Galaxy Glider. Everyone except Andros comes in, and Carlos says he's almost done. DJ then says he'll see him in the morning, but they're in space, so that doesn't mean a damn thing. Carlos packs up. We see Andros is searching for life forms in galaxies, using a first grader's art project as a map. He tells Zeka to scan the next sector, and she does. He then sits down looking around totally normally, and he takes out a necklace looking at a little disc, and oh my god, his fingernails! He plays the tiny disc to see baby Andros, you can tell by the hair, and a little girl playing with this clearance toy from KB Toys. They're using their telekinesis to be obnoxious. Then Carlos walks by watching from afar. Little Andros chases after a toy, and from the POV of someone else, they run up after the little girl who screams as they abduct her. She screams for Andros on the video, and Andros calls for her, and her name is Corone. We also see the shape of the monster who abducts her. Andros then tells Deka that if he could find out who that is, he can find his sister again. Until then, he says he will never stop searching because this episode's like super on the nose. Later, Carlos is laying in bed not able to sleep. Well, because that was super weird. He's thinking about baby Andros. That's creepy. Andros is now calling it a night, getting ready to go to sleep after not finding anything. But then Deka says that she's found a life form in KO-35, Andros' home colony. He then exposits how Corone wouldn't know it was deserted, so they head there. On Earth, Professor Phenomenus is driving with Bulk and Skull, talking about how aliens come to Earth in eggs, and they get bigger with each breath. Also, he almost kills someone on the road. Bulk is also hallucinating everything that Phenomenus is talking about. Alright. Anyway, Phenomenus sees something stopping the vehicle. They get out saying they know it's here. What is it? Watermelons. Phenomenus thinks that they're alien pods. Yeah, that's the whole gag. This feels like it's going on for like 30 minutes. At this point, just let Bulk and Skull be themselves again. This shtick sucks. Phenomenus gets the watermelon and he demands that the evil aliens come out of the egg, and he's hitting Bulk with the watermelon. He then says he'll take it back to the lab for molecular analysis. Phenomenus listens to it and he hears a heartbeat. Bulk and Skull then start freaking out, so they start playing hot potato with the watermelon until they toss it up into the air, and it's just a watermelon. Ta-da! Corone is probably dead by now. Deka wakes up Andros because they're at KO-35, and he tells Deka to not wake the others. He takes the tube going down, and he lands like an idiot for some reason. That was amazing. He's walking around talking about how everything is deserted and it looks so weird. So he just starts screaming for his sister. Meanwhile, Astronema is sleeping while Ecliptor is watching. Have we met Ecliptor? Yes, we did. He's sneaking out at this point, seeing that Andros is on KO-35 alone. Deka wakes up Carlos, who complains that he's been awake this whole time. He gets up and we see that Ashley has made some food. Cassie and TJ are there too, eating. Carlos comes in and they realize that they don't know where Andros is. Carlos then notices that the Galaxy Glider is gone. Did Andros even take his? Then why did he land like that? Deka rats out Andros to the others and they're confused, and Carlos explains about his sister. Cassie is like offended that he has a sister for some reason. Carlos says that they need to go figure this out as he sits down and starts eating. Okay. Then he decides against it, saying Andros should have been back by now, and he says he'll go check it out alone. He takes the tube, leaving. Andros is still walking around using a handheld sensor to search. It starts to beep and he gets startled by nothing, but it's actually Ecliptor. He thinks it's Corone, so he's running, yelling. Ecliptor then Terminator 2's behind him, talking smack about Andros' home. The two start to fight one another and Andros immediately gets his ass kicked. He literally can't do anything without getting manhandled and thrown into water. It's actually kind of hilarious. He takes out his spiral saber and yeah, that does absolutely nothing. Ecliptor is overpowered as hell. Ecliptor then just detaches his fucking head, firing at Andros and hitting him around. What the hell is that? Carlos is there with another sensor walking around. Just follow the sounds, dude. Andros gets beat up some more and Ecliptor's head reattaches. Andros gets his blaster, but it gets reflected back at him, and now it's time for Ecliptor to kill him, but then Carlos flies in through a crack in this dimension. It makes no sense. Carlos then takes a really bad hit from Ecliptor, and as he's falling, Andros tells him to watch out. Little late for that, bud. Carlos explains that he's there for Andros because they're a team. Andros calls out the Galaxy Glider and the two head out. Andros promises to be back. On the megaship, Carlos is sleeping while the others run vitals on him. Remember when they were in high school like 30 seconds ago? Andros blames himself, which he totally should, and Ashley explains that he was alone, so he was vulnerable. Cassie explains that if something happens to one of them, it affects all of them, but Andros pouts and leaves. TJ says he just doesn't accept being part of a team, apparently. Andros then tries to look distraught as he thinks about Carlos getting blown up again. He then decides to go rogue again, leaving via tube, telling Deca to keep her fucking mouth shut. He's back on KO-35 yelling for Ecliptor, and he tells him that he's alone, and then he gets hit away by a giant Ecliptor foot. This dude, I swear to God. Ecliptor then starts to attack the tiny Andros, who tries to attack, but he gets beautifully hit away. On the ship, they can't find him. Again. TJ asks Deca where Andros is, and she doesn't respond. They see his galaxy glider is gone, so they go via tube. Andros gets blown up again, while the other Rangers come flying in on their galaxy gliders, firing at Ecliptor. They jump down and help Andros stand, and here comes a groggy, morphed Carlos. Bitch, weren't you asleep? Carlos explains he's part of the team, so everyone shut up. I mean, we get it, guys. They take out their Astro Blasters and they fire at Ecliptor, and Carlos tells Alpha to lock the Mega Lasers on Ecliptor, and they fire at him. Was that it? Andros is super sad this was all a trick, and he doesn't know what happened to his sister. Seriously, that was it? Andros is working out on the ship, and Carlos is feeling better. Andros then gets his towel from like 2 feet away with telekinesis. Bitch, just walk over! Carlos explains he knows about Andros' sister, and he asks how Carlos knows, and he says it's not important. That's creepy. They decide they'll find his sister as a team now, because why not? The end. This episode's rough. I mean, the Japanese footage can only do so much, and it makes very little sense most of the time. I can't tell if this was a Carlos or an Andros episode, but everything seems to be an Andros episode at this point because he's the only one with literally anything going on. Knowing about Andros' sister is a huge storyline throughout this entire season, so I'm glad they introduced it early, but wow, what a terrible introduction. I mean, the guy who plays Andros, Christopher Kamen Lee, is doing his best with the material, but I don't know that he was the right one to try to convey these emotions so far. Hopefully the acting will get a little bit better as we go along, but sometimes actors are only as good as their directors. Overall, this episode's pretty important, but it's somehow forgettable. Next time, In Space continues. Until then, may the power protect you.